Good. So now we're recording. For those who just joined, this is the agenda for today. So we start with why investing in health tech, giving a brief overview over the industry, but just very briefly, I believe most of you are very familiar with the health tech space and understand why this is an attractive field. Then we will talk about the investment strategy in general for business angels, and then specifically talk about Angel Investing 2.0 and our approach at MEDKAP. All right. So now we would also like to introduce ourselves. I am Vincent Irrling, founder of Capsly and MEDKAP, two organizations to help health tech startups. I'm originally from Germany. I came to Switzerland after I've been a global product manager for neurosurgical implants and did the MBA in St. Gallen. I did a sort of special corporate studies program and became a product manager very early on, and basically also used this experience to help medtech startups with their commercial strategy to launch their products more quickly. And now a lot are joining, just letting them in. And founded MEDKAP with Jan Fülscher. We're also business partner at Capsly. And now handing over to you, Jan, so you can also introduce yourself.
Sure. Let's do that. So I'm Jan, a veteran in the startup industry, been doing this for 25 years or so, have been co-founder investor in maybe 15 companies and a few nonprofits, and especially in the angel environment, I've been doing quite a few things. I was the director of Business Angel Switzerland. Later on, I was a co-founder of HealthTech, which you probably know well. So I invented them the format they use today, and then later was a co-founder. And then later on, together with Vincent, decided to build MEDKAP, the angel club you're talking to. You're probably going to wonder why yet another angel club. There are very good reasons for that. We're going to discuss them. I'm also an accredited InnoSwiss coach. I work with a bunch of companies there that which is a great experience. So all high-tech companies, mostly spin-offs of universities, and it's a great experience to work with them. I lecture at Uni Zurich, Uni Bern, and some more schools. Background, I'm a Master of Business Administration. I was a management principal consultant at PwC before that, and software developer in parallel to that. So quite a mixed experience. Excellent. Shall we start? Vincent, you're the man.
I just heard some background noise there. Maybe if you can all mute yourself, if you have some things in the background, that would be nice. Thank you. All right, so I will briefly give you the introduction, why invest in health tech, why this is an attractive industry, and then Jan will continue with the investment strategy because he brings really a wealth of experience there, and hearing it in his words is always very interesting. All right, health tech, of course, is a huge market, and the thing is, it's also going to grow by a lot. It's going to be over 1,000 billion of market size in about 8 years. And I believe we live in a very interesting time right now because, at least to my experience, there has never been a time when technology has enabled so many changes and innovations, especially in the healthcare space. For example, when we're thinking about telemedicine, or when we're thinking about AI in diagnostics that helps to improve efficiencies and reduce costs. Also, when we're talking about genomics and precision medicine, personalized treatments, possibilities that have or chances that have only become possible in the recent years. So it's really an attractive area. And as you know, healthcare is also relatively stable. Healthcare will always be needed, especially during COVID. There was actually even a boom in healthcare investments. Now we've come to a more normal level, but it's really an area where you can create a lot of impact while also having a substantial financial return in this area. If you want to read or learn more about this topic, we have a blog page on medkap.org on our website, where we have a whole section just about the health tech space and why this is an interesting market to invest in general. And then we also dive deeper into areas like digital health, like diagnostics, like medtech. So our members actually have looked into those different areas in detail and what are the crucial points there and things that investors should consider when making up their minds and thinking about such kind of investments. So this is something I can highly recommend, and this is just to give you a brief introduction also why health tech is an attractive market for business angels. All right, so now I will hand over to Jan to guide you through the investment strategy. You're on mute, Jan.
Yeah, thank you. Just noticed. Thanks. Well, we are a business angel club, and business angel are quite a special bunch of people. And we looked into that a bit, and mainly there are two reasons why angels invest. A, they want to make money, and B, they want to have fun. And what we try to do, and the way MEDKAP is set up, is a combination of both. We built this in a way that you can actually enjoy working with startups. And well, as some of or all of you know, it is great fun working with startups because of the energy, because of being part of something new, something exciting. That's really cool. But of course, there is another aspect. There is a significant risk that you lose money, and we built MEDKAP in a way that the chances of making actually money instead of losing it are maximized. So about the money aspect, what it's important to understand is that returns on investment in startup companies follow a power law or Pareto distribution, where a very small number of cases create a huge profit, and most cases do not generate small profits or no profits at all. So David Rose has written a book on angel investing. It's quite well known. He says that about 50% of the companies do not generate any multiple, meaning no return. About 20% generate a return of 1, meaning you get the money back which you've invested. 20% a multiple of 2.5 in average, meaning you get 2.5 times back what you've invested. 9% a multiple of 10, and 1% a multiple of 20. If you have a large portfolio, a really large portfolio, meaning hundreds of cases, you can get to a multiple of around 1.9, meaning doubling your investment, which is cool, not great, but cool. Now, if we look at the power law a bit more closely, or that Pareto distribution, what you see is that you have two drivers that affect how much money you can make with the investment. A, the number of investments, because if you have a very small number or a small number of investments, then the probability that you have a 20x return is actually very small. So if you want to have a 20x company in your portfolio, you need to have a large portfolio, which is kind of unfortunate because a large portfolio means also a lot of money. If every case you invest in is a 50K ticket, and you would want to have 20 or 50 investment, you very quickly get to the multi-million investment range. Most people don't want to do this for good reasons. So, and we found one way how we can do this. The other instrument which you have to increase the profitability is that you increase the multiple or the return on each investment and the most profitable investments. Good. So what can you do? You can have many investments, and meaning really many, 20, 30, 50 if possible, which kind of becomes complicated, as you can imagine. And B, you can increase the multiple or the return on each case. And we're going to show how we do this and how we encourage you to do this. So, second part is how to have fun with startups. And there you have bit of a different approach, and that actually kind of collides with what we found before. If you want to have fun with startups, you usually would work closely with 1, 2, 3 companies at most. Usually you would look at companies where you have a very good network, where you know the industry very well, because it's just no fun to work with a company that you don't understand, right? You just chase after them, don't understand what they do, but if you understand it, if you're familiar with the industry, it's actually cool. And what you can do as an angel investor, and what we recommend to do, is that you take it as a personal goal to help them being successful as quickly as possible. How would you do this? Basically, you try to find paying customer or paying pilot customers as quickly as possible. There are many ways how to do this. We don't need to go into that, but the main goal would be not to keep them in the lab and do yet another investment round, which dilutes you down to zero, but actually get them out and find paying customers as quickly as possible. A few recommendations there. So help them focusing, help them avoiding wasting time with stuff which is not relevant. Help them creating synergies. Synergies are extremely important in the startup space, and you as angel investors can help them. Be close to the company, but don't take an operational role, because it puts you into huge conflict if you take an operational role, because we report to the CEO and the CEO reports to the board, maybe even to you. So you're kind of sandwiched, and the CEO is sandwiched, and this is impossible. So an advisory board role or a board role is recommended, but not an operational role. Have an eye on the financials, because that's what kills the companies. Help them minimizing future investment rounds. That's really important, because each future investment round actually dilutes us and increases the risk that we actually lose every cent which we invested. If we can get them to profitability early, it increases the chances that we get something back from the investment. Lastly, earn some money with them. And that's totally okay, depending on how you do that. And what we recommend is that you help them finding paying customers and take a margin on that, the money that flows there. Why? If they would hire an external consultant to find paying customers, they would have to pay these consultants. Anyway, if you take that and take a provision there, that's totally okay, and the money is in good hands, and it decreases your fun factor significantly if you get a kickback. So, what would be an investment strategy that follows from those two principles? Invest. So what we recommend is that you have a large number of investments. However, most people can't afford to do 50, 100K investments in a large number of cases. So what we need to do is have small ticket sizes. And we have an instrument to do this. Mainly this is called syndication. That allows you to start with a 5K ticket and then invest in a large number of cases, even though your tickets are very small, but you still can profit from the powered law curve. If you're the person who took over, you're the lead in a case, then it would be your goal to help the company to become profitable as quickly as possible, avoid future in funding rounds. And remember, sometimes the startups prefer to look for money instead to look for customers, because they don't know how to deal with customers, but they believe that they know how to deal with investors, which is mostly wrong, but yeah, they don't know yet. So help them be successful and charge reasonable success fees, mainly for revenues, if you help them acquire revenues. I would advise against taking a fee for your board position or a fundraising fees. I mean, some angels do this. However, it creates a conflict of interest. So I'm not that happy about that. Good. Vincent.
Yeah, you see.
Yeah. So what could be a potential investment strategy if you had a budget of about 100K, which be, well, openly spoken, probably a rather small budget, but still, if you had a budget of 100K, we would recommend that you do 2 active investments where you're going to have fun because you work with them, each 15K, which is still on the small side, but still it's, I mean, if you create a multiple or profit of an M of 10 or 20, you still walk out with a nice revenue on those 15K. And that would be your goal, to help them make a multiple of 10 or 20. And that would make the founders rich and all the investors would not be unhappy at all. And then use the rest of the money for passive investments, maybe each 5K around. That's our minimum ticket size. And we will help you syndicate these investments. So together they are one big ticket and it doesn't kill the cap table of the startup, because on the startup cap tables, it looks like one big investments, whereas for you and us investors, they are actually small tickets. Okay, now, so that's the principle of MEDKAP. Now a bit more what we do and how we do that and why it's different. So the oldest angel clubs are, 25 to 30 years old, and they haven't changed the way how they operate. And to be honest, it feels right. And what we try to do is actually incorporate a few more modern approaches, things which are not that common in other clubs in order to make a really cool experience. So we have 3 target groups. That's startups, that's business angels, and that's corporate investors. And we do something for each of them. Okay. And basically what we want to achieve is a easy and efficient investing. We have certain tools for that, mainly very lean processes, a simplified approach, so the investing is not that complex. Everyone will profit from that, corporates, angels, and startups, because mainly it's a very standardized process. Maximize the chances of success. Mainly this is the business between angels and startups. So if the angels, the lead angels, help the startup to become successful very quickly, the corporate is going to profit, and maybe even the corporate can help and will profit too. Having fun with startups, that's of course something for the angels and the startups, because if we increase the chances of success, everyone will be happy. For the corporates, it's a bit more difficult because mainly we have usually one contact person. That contact person will have fun if they work with you, but they're actually probably not allowed to interfere very actively. So that's a bit more complicated. Same for making money. The angel will profit and the startup will profit if the angel helps the startup successfully. And on the other hand, achieving strategic goals with the investment, that's something only a corporate can achieve. Well, there's sometimes angels with strategic goals, but it doesn't happen very often. So to do so, we have a few principles, which I don't see yet.
They should be up now already.
Now here they are. Right, and I'm probably not going into all of them, but some of them might be interesting for you. Mainly, one is focusing. What we know from theory and practice is that a successful angel club focuses on one industry. We focus on health tech, and we actually, every other board meeting we discuss whether we should narrow down the focus even more, because we want to understand the startups we work with, and we want our members to understand the startups. And a consequence of that focus is that we are an angel club for experts, right? We are not very happy if we get requests from people who don't understand health tech, because it actually makes things more complicated. We see in some of the larger clubs, which we have in Switzerland, where you have all kinds of investors with all kinds of background, that they become extremely inefficient. By focusing on one industry, you stay efficient. Because if we focus on one industry, we need to expand the geographical reach. One of the consequences being that we scout in the whole of Switzerland and neighboring countries. So we have sometimes cases from neighboring countries which we present, because that makes sense, right? If you narrow down in one dimension, then you need to expand in the other one. We have syndication as a principle that's built into every process. So if we do investments, there is a syndication path for all investors who want to do small tickets. This is just by default built in. Well, maybe combined with the Club of Four Experts and Club of Experts, we build and we run a platform where our members can demonstrate their thought leadership. And this is for some members important because it shows the grand public that they know what they are doing. Right, so it's kind of a platform to demonstrate to startups that we know we are doing and demonstrate to a large audience that we know we are doing. Members are free to use that. They're not obliged in any way, obviously, but they can use it. We started that with the blog approach, which generated some very interesting response, and we're thinking about what we can do more in that respect. Also, what we see is that our members are very active. So at the last General Assembly, we had cool and interesting discussions with the members there. So we feel that they're really engaged. Some more, we accelerate the go-to-market. That's important for us. We want to really make sure that the startups get to the market as quickly as possible in order to avoid dilution and in order to allow them to pivot as quickly as possible, because they will have to pivot once they did the go-to-market. And the sooner they pivot, the easier it is and the less expensive it is. If you have a team of 30 people, pivoting will be hugely expensive. If it's a team of 3 people, it will be significantly cheaper. Another thing we want to do is treat founders with respect. That might sound a bit strange, but I see again and again startup support organizations where the startup is the product, right? And it's treated as a product. But we believe that founders do something which many of us have not achieved. They build something new, which is tremendous. And we should have the biggest respect for that, and we should support that and not treat them like loan takers or something. And that's important. That will help us also achieve a certain visibility and good reputation in the market. And lastly, for us as an organization, we are lean. We are still a startup. MEDKAP is a startup, and we follow the rules which a startup should follow. Stay lean, stay flexible. Don't invest too much in processes and tools, but do whatever is needed at that moment. We experiment a lot with tech. So we experiment with large language models to help with the due diligence of the cases, to create summaries, and to give you additional information. So that's the tech part. Lastly, we believe that you should buy, not make. If making is always inefficient, buying is more efficient, and we should suggest this to startups, and we do it ourselves. So how does it work if a startup applies? We have an online form, they apply there. We get a review from our jury. The jury changes constantly. Members are invited to become part of that. We do a pitch event. If there is sufficient investor interest, then again measure investor interest. If there is sufficient, we bring the case to investment committee, do a due diligence. So we really go into the details at that point of time. We report on that. There is a soft commitment phase, meaning all members are invited to join the round. And soft commitment being that they say, yeah, I'm interested in giving that and that much money. If we get enough money, then a syndication agreement is signed where the small partners or small investors are syndicated. into one contract, then this is signed, and then the money flows. And this can be a quick process. It doesn't need to be. It really depends a bit on the startup. From our side, it can be pretty quick. We work with a syndication company that helps us doing that, and so that part of the process is standardized. The startup success criteria, we use a standard scheme that you see here. We look at the startups in 6 dimensions, namely team, traction strategy, support network, competitive advantage, market, and funding. Why these 6 dimensions? There is one study which is given down there that looked at potential success factors and came to around 66 factors, which we narrowed down to those 6 dimensions. And the members who assess the case, the jury that assesses the case, looks at about 15 or 20 questions summarizing these 6 dimensions. What you see here is what we present to the members. The red curve is the average assessment, and the black ones are the minimum and the highest assessments. So you get a feeling for what do people think in average and what's the range of the opinions. Who are we? We talked with Vincent. I myself presented ourselves. Third on the board is Max Diem, who's our legal counsel and does all the legal stuff, which is important. We have an advisory board, a very active advisory board, and we're proud of these guys. Markus, Frank, Sebastian, James, Daniel. But they do a lot. And the other Daniel, Manuel, Armin, and Esther, they support us every day and are available for to help MEDKAP to advance. So if you think that sounds cool or interesting, then we kindly invite you to become involved. How does that work? Join a pitch event, that's free. And of course, after that, immediately become a member, if you like it, of course. But it only makes sense if you actually start investing, right? You can't profit from MEDKAP if you don't invest. It's not an expensive thing to do. The MEDKAP membership is not a very expensive thing to do, but it kind of does make sense if you don't invest. If you're interested to support what we do, then join the advisory board. There's room for everyone to help us growing. And of course, we need all help we can get. We are the new kid in a series of older kids, established kids, and we're trying to do things a bit differently, but of course, we need help. Good. Conditions, the private membership, which is intended for healthcare executives, healthcare entrepreneurs, and medical doctors. And that's really our target group, right? That costs 500 francs per year. And that includes, of course, then the invitations to the pitch events and access to the deal flow, etc. We have corporate memberships. They get many more advantages, and that's a bit more expensive. But of course, that will help them to do strategic investments. Next 2 events, if you're interested to join, that will be on November 12th, an online pitch event, on December 10th, the pitch event at Zürcher Ventures. So we normally do the pitch events, the face-to-face pitch events with partners, not always, but this time it's Zürcher.
Exactly. Maybe at this point I jump in quickly because we promised there would be a special offering to new members, and this is when we are announcing it for the first time. If you want to become a member and sign up for the next year already in the next couple of weeks, you actually can join MEDKAP for free until end of this year. And as you can see, there are still some things happening. We're certainly planning at least one more investment as well this year. So you can already become a part of this for the last 2 months this year. And we would be happy to welcome you and also invite you to the pitch events that are coming up. The next online one, we will soon announce the startups as well. At the online one, we will have 5 or 6 startups that are going to pitch. And at Zürich, at the physical events in Schlieren, we usually have 4 startups. All right, this is it. Here's our contact details and the website medkap.org. If you want to look for further information, please go there. As I mentioned, there's also now, I believe, 8 blog articles, so quite a lot of content there already from our thought leaders, our members, where you can dive deeper into diagnostics, medtech, tech bio, digital health, if you're interested in those areas. And basically now we are open to your questions, if you have any.
Or of course, your